Okay.
But now we need to talk about at some point, though, that this is our second time recording our June episode.
Well, let's just talk about it now.
Okay, let's talk about
We're
the elephant
here,
in the
Brett.
room.
We are
We're here.
here.
It's the light of day. Usually we record late at night, and we did on the first Friday, and we had some issues, right?
Yes,
Well,
we
I
did.
had some issues. I
I
always
mean,
have issues.
we all have issues.
This is true. We all have issues. That's why we're here, trying to make goals to better ourselves. But you were so kind to let us re-record. Though I had some major mic issues, and it sounded just awful. Our good friend Ed Placencia tried to help us repair it, so we didn't have to re-record. And even the magic of Ed could not fix my massive error. So we're amateurs. Thank you, Josh, for recording again. And when I last talked to you, it was 2 days ago, and I had just gotten home from my daughter's graduation. And we always pick a topic to discuss, and I thought it might be fun last Friday to kind of make that connection between my daughter graduating and high school. We can all relate to high school. We've all experienced that, no matter where we live. And I had asked you what your favorite part of high school was. So why don't you kick us off and tell us just real quick, what was your favorite part of high school?
I mean, playing basketball was great. That was one of the things I did through high school. And I mean, I did get injured my senior year. And so that wasn't so great. It was the third game of the season. And then I was out for the rest of the season. I messed up my back taking a charge. However, I also started dating my wife my senior year of high school. And so, as much as that kind of stung to miss the remainder of my senior year, it was fine. I mean, I was at a point where I'd played long enough and had got a little burnt out on all the practicing, all the hard work. And so to just be able to spend time with Steph was really great. So I'm just gonna say that it might be cheating. She didn't go to my high school. Um, but yeah, I'll say dating my future wife. Kind of hard to top that. What about you?
That's pretty spectacular. And just for the record, you've been married how long now?
Going on 21 years.
21 plus however, you met her your senior year of high school. Congratulations to you. I don't think that's cheating at all. I think it's quite romantic, actually. You're a high school sweetheart that you married, and that would definitely take the sting off of the back injury and not being able to play basketball to focus on a beautiful, wonderful, talented woman that Steph is. And congratulations. As far as me, my favorite thing about high school was the friendships. And obviously your friendship turned into something romantic. Mine didn't, but that's okay because it was just so fun to have a group of people that you're sharing this common experience with. And I was fortunate enough to be able to travel with some of the performing arts group I was in. And back then there were less restrictions on travel. And one time we took a school bus from Utah all the way up to Banff, Canada. And that was a lot
Oh,
of
nice.
fun. Yeah, yeah, so just some of those trips, and so it's been really fun to see my daughter and watch her experience these last 3 or 4 years go through high school and develop some of those same friendships. A lot of them come over here for parties or socials or before dances, and it's fun to get to know her friends and see, just some of the antics they get up to, but how much they support each other. And it's so rewarding as a father to see your daughter be supported by good friends. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back by any means, but I am kind of the cool dad because my daughter does like to show off my game room to all the guy friends that come over, and they think that's pretty cool. So I do have it in with the guys that come over. Sometimes it's to Lucy's detriment. They'd rather hang out and play video games with me than hang out with her. So I gotta draw the line sometimes and set some clear boundaries. But she did graduate. It was so much fun. A little stressful there at the beginning. She sang in the choir, and we didn't think we were going to be able to take pictures with her, and it was kind of chaotic getting there. But we got the pictures. We went out to dinner, and today I'm making her this crazy new dessert, which is going to destroy my diet. I'll have to send you some pictures, Josh, because she loves Reese's peanut butter cups, and I found this really bizarre recipe for a bundt cake with peanut butter cups mixed into the dough and drizzled with peanut butter and crushed peanut butter cups on top. So today is going to be a cheat day, my friend.
Well, you're celebrating and well deserved to Lucy. I'm happy for her. And then off the air, we'll have to talk about Banff because that's one of the places that is on my bucket list to go. So I'm hoping maybe someday I could go there, and if I'm half or all the way up there, that I can convince Mr. Sean Capri and his wife Chelsea to meet us there as well. So we'll see. Fingers
Oh,
crossed.
highly recommend it. Totally beautiful. Totally beautiful. You'd love it. Well, you just got back from a trip, which is why we recorded late last month.
Right.
And now we're having to re-record. So what do you say we, just get this thing going since, we've tried a couple times now and let's get this show on the road, eh?
Second time's the charm. It better be because there's not going to be a third time.
There's no third.
Doc, get on your bicycle. Mac, put on your pink hoodie and high tops, and let's get this thing going.
While the music intro's playing, what do you think of my new Kirby shirt? I got it at Walmart.
That's pretty awesome. I'm wearing my Married to the Game shirt.
We need to coordinate one of these days and both wear our Married to the Game shirt.
Welcome to Fit Dad, Game Dad, a monthly podcast where two middle-aged dads encourage each other to reach both their fitness and their couch gaming goals. I'm your host, Josh Stapleton, and with me, as always, is the elderly man who is sending his oldest off to college, Brett Bodden. Brett, how are you, my friend?
Really good, really good. Sundays are one of my favorite days. We're recording on a Sunday, and it's a good feeling to send your daughter off to college. We're not quite empty nesters yet, but it does give you a little more freedom as a parent. So I'm feeling a little bit of freedom. I'm feeling like we crossed the finish line with one kid, 2 more to go. It's kind of a milestone, so I'm feeling really good today. How are you feeling, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well. My wife and daughter are out of town. They're down at Disneyland. They get back in a couple days, and I'm not going to lie, I'm really looking forward to, as much as it is nice to have the house be a little quieter, I'm really looking forward to having the whole family here and not doing the single parent thing. So yeah, that'll
You
be
are very
great.
good at the single parent thing, and that's probably why Steph feels she can go. So kudos to you. You're a great dad. Something I always admire about you is how well you take care of the kids when Steph's out of town. And I'll be joining her, not really. I'll be going to California this weekend. She'll be back, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes. Well, Brett, we did record late into May, so our goals were a little bit, I guess we had to skew them a little bit for the time difference. But now it's June, and we need to go back and we need to account for May.
Let's get into our skill tree.
Sorry, that's what I forgot to say. I was like, I know I'm forgetting something. I don't have it here in my notes.
I'm your backup, man. I'm your back. I got you. I got your back. Hey, you said it once. You did it correctly the first episode.
I was just looking at here. I'm like, okay, I see. The column was cut off. I was like, where is it? I was like, I know there's something. Okay. There's just, okay. We'll just cut that out.
Oh, you think I'm going to cut that out? I'm leaving that in because I caught your mistake.
You jerk. Okay, Brett, let's start off with our co-op goal. What was our co-op goal last month?
Well, sir, our co-op goal, we had 2 weeks left, and we thought, well, things hadn't been going super well for either of us. You'd been back from vacation, I'd been stressed out, and we needed some good momentum. And one of the great things about this podcast is we have each other to hold each other accountable, but it's only once a month. So our co-op goal was to text each other every day and check in on our eating and exercising. And we did well. Yeah, we did it. We definitely did. And I think it was something that was really helpful. I think for me, the difference that it makes is if I'm not accountable to someone, it's easy to set a goal at the beginning of the month. And then as more and more time goes on, it's easy to kind of get off track a little, like maybe not for the entire month, but maybe instead of just having like that one cheat day and then getting back to it, it's easy to have one cheat day followed by another type thing.
and just to relax maybe a little more than I should. So this was really helpful for that. I don't know if you felt the same way though.
I felt the exact same way, and what happens to me is time just flies, right? We're so busy as busy dads and trying to do all the things, and yeah, and it when you text me every single day, it's like, oh yeah, I got to get right back on this because in less than 24 hours he's going to be texting me again. So it was super helpful. It did help build some good momentum for me. And one of my favorite things was I was able to, you know, celebrate some of the things you were doing and learn from some of the things you were doing. You would send me a screenshot of the food you were eating, and it's always a good reminder of some good foods that are out there that I forget about, that I might not have in my pantry. And when I see what you're eating, I make a little note on my shopping list and think, oh, I should add that. That's a great little snack to put in there. So, so many good comes from just daily check-ins, and it was fun to chat with you about other things as well that would come up about your yard sales and how I was telling you about how my last week of school was going and um, good times. We usually text each day every all the time anyway, but we might miss a day here or there. But we were pretty strict this time every day.
Yeah, yeah, and as far as the eating goes, you probably see on my end, I eat a lot of the same things. I kind of know what works for me, what I like. I'm not really a super adventurous eater. I've gotten better over the years, but still, like, especially like breakfast, you'll see like the same three or four breakfasts over and over and over. I try and like maybe swap them out a little bit here and there, but I definitely am a creature of habit. So 2 points to each of us for our co-op goals. Let's go over our side quests. You want to go first and go through your side quests?
All right, perfect, man. Thank you. I had a couple side quests here that I was able to achieve, and about three I didn't achieve. Keep in mind, we only had 2 weeks, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much. My first one was I created a sticker chart for me and Janine to kind of have a little friendly competition and to check in with her as well as you on our exercise and eating goals. And I wanted to earn more stickers than her. And I'm not going to explain how the whole sticker chart works, but me being an elementary principal, I make sticker charts. It's just what I do. It's a motivational thing. Anyway, I did beat Janine, and that sounds kind of mean. Like your goal was to beat your wife. Well, no, that wasn't my goal. It was just, trying to just motivate each other. And even though I did earn more stickers than her, she shared something with me that made me happy that even though she didn't earn more stickers, she was still having some success. She said, you know what? My clothes are actually starting to fit a little better. And that made me super happy because it's not really about who wins or loses. It's just about encouraging each other. And that's what it was about. So giving myself 2 points for that. And then the next thing I did was set up a basketball hoop for Ruby. We moved and we left our old basketball hoop at the old house because it was cemented into the ground. And the new one, I thought, I'll just throw, take me an hour. And I texted you. I said, hey, I'm working on my side quest. That's something we do from time to time. We'll text each other and say, check it out. I'm working on a side quest. And it's kind of a way to motivate each other to keep working on our goals. And you said, oh, I did that a couple of months ago for my kids, and it took me 4 hours. And my kind of red flags went up, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't have 4 hours. I have an hour. I set an hour aside to do this. So I was thinking, Josh was probably, just taking his time. I bet I could do this in an hour. Well, 4 hours later, almost to the dot, I texted you and I'm like, how did you know it was 4 hours? And it was so painful, and parts weren't going where they were supposed to go, and my temper was flaring. But it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I got it done. And Ruby, my youngest, who really likes basketball, has been enjoying it. So I'm giving myself 2 points, although I wish I could give myself four, one for every hour, because those were 4 painful hours. And then my last three goals I didn't achieve, but that's okay. I'm going to move some of these to the next month. I want to set up all my Legos. I haven't done all of them, but I did do one more right up here. If you're watching the video, I did my little Wally guy. He's one of my little favorites. If you've ever seen Wally made out of Legos, a really cool creation. But I have a bunch more that are still in boxes. I was hoping to get them all undone, so I didn't do that. And I was going to memorize a song on the piano to play at the talent show, and I didn't do that. And you know what else I didn't do? I didn't post the Peaches video on Fit Dad Game Dad YouTube. So I got to do that too.
Yeah, you do.
And I totally do. I promise I will do that. And then the last thing is the one I'm actually most embarrassed about because I was going to get our budget updated and I didn't do that. And out of all these goals that you don't accomplish, some of them you can just brush off. It's not a big deal. It's kind of a big deal if you don't do your budgeting. So finances might not be looking so good right now, but I wouldn't know because, I'm just spending money without even looking where it's going. That always leads to trouble. So if I'm gonna be down on myself, it's for that last goal. I gotta get better at that. Gotta get the budgeting thing going. So I only earned 4 points, which um, unfortunately keeps me pretty far behind you still. I was hoping to catch up a little bit. Coming into this episode, I was 2 levels behind. So I'm hoping you didn't do as well. So how did you do?
Well, okay. I did okay, Brett. I'll just say that. Um, the first
Dang it.
side quest I had, and this may sound kind of cheap just on the surface, but was to figure out a Mother's Day gift for my wife and my mom, which you'd think like, oh yeah, easy. Of course you're doing something for your wife and your mom for Mother's Day. However, we got back from vacation and then like, boom, it was Mother's Day. So I was last month a little stressed about figuring that out, and I did kind of some non-traditional gifts. I mean, we got, my kids and I made my wife breakfast in bed, and she got roses and some chocolate, so all that kind of traditional stuff. Um, but I feel like I've done a lot of the same things over and over, like getting her a gift certificate to get a massage or whatever. So this year, our ceiling fan in our bedroom wasn't working right. So I went out and bought a ceiling fan and a smart ceiling fan and got it all installed. And that was her kind of untraditional Mother's Day gift, but she really, really liked that. So 2 points there. My next one was to meal plan the last few weeks because coming back from vacation, I had gained weight and I had gotten out of the habit of eating well. And one of the easiest ways for me to eat better is if I'm intentional about it, if I know what I'm going to be eating for my meals, and then I intentionally make enough of my protein and veggies or whatever that I can then eat it the next day for lunch leftovers, and that seems to really help. And I did that. Um, so 2 points for that one as well. The next one was to prep all my games to sell. So last month I mentioned that I decided to sell off about half of my video game collection, and it's a huge task. And the goal wasn't to sell everything or even to list everything, but it was to prep everything. And I did that, and actually a lot more. I spent hours upon hours upon hours these last 2 weeks prepping and listing. eBay gives me, I think, 200 and, well, I know they do 250 free listings a month. I surpassed that. So in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, I think I listed about 260 games. And that's only on eBay. I also list a whole bunch locally on like Facebook Marketplace. So that was a lot of work. There were a lot of late nights where I was up in the office working on that. So I felt like I surpassed on that one. The let's see, I have two more. This one, do something for someone else. And what I had said was that I just kind of felt like I had gotten out of the habit of trying to, once again, being intentional, trying to be intentional about thinking about others and finding a way to help others. I don't feel like I did really great on this. So I'll talk about this a little bit more later. But I am giving myself 1 point because I did a few little things, but I didn't really do anything up to my expectations. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I had planned or hoped to do something more than just like, some piddly little thing. So, um,
Well, one of the things you did, and sorry to interrupt, didn't wasn't piddly or little to me. You sent a gift to my daughter for graduating, and that was honestly totally unexpected, and it was so appreciated. She did get a few gifts, but from family members. No one outside of our family did anything for her, so you have a kind heart and a very big heart, and so you may think that one was piddly, and I know you're shooting for the moon because of how big your heart is. So I'm looking forward to seeing what other lives you're going to touch with this goal going forward.
Well, I felt it was cheating because we would have, whether it was, even if it wasn't a goal, we would have, done something for Lucy. So I felt like it was a little bit cheap in that sense. So I gave myself 1 point there. My last one was one that you gave me as a goal, and that was to find a copy of Mario Kart Wii at yard sales. And it was funny because we record generally on Friday nights. Last month, we recorded on a Friday night. We got done probably at like, I don't know what it was, 1 in the morning or something like that. I got up at 6 in the morning, went out to yard sales. And the very first yard sale I went to, I found a copy of Mario Kart Wii. And it's a fairly common
Yes.
game, but there's still no guarantees that you'll go out and find it. So that was really cool to go out to that first yard sale and snag it. That did make me happy there. So that
Oh,
those
made
are
me
my
happy.
yeah, those are my side quests. So I think I did pretty well there with them. But yeah, let's talk about what was your gaming goal.
You did really well there. You earned, let's just real quick, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points to my 4. And I misspoke a minute ago. Coming into this month, I was only 1 level behind. And with the amount of points you just earned, I think we're heading towards me being 2 levels behind again. So you did a great job. And our gaming goals, let's talk about that. Okay, mine was super easy. I had been focusing so much on gaming the last 2 months that I have beaten 4 or 5 games in the last 2 months, which is pretty good for me. And so I felt like I needed to, with only having 2 weeks left in the month, I knew I wasn't going to really have time to set 3 meaningful goals for our main quest. And so I decided that the gaming one should be the easiest one. So I might have cheated here a little bit. And my goal was simply to not start a new game. At the time we last recorded in May, I was playing Assassin's Creed 3, Hogwarts, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Super Smash Brothers, bouncing back and forth between all of those. Really didn't want to start a fifth game, and it was right before, or maybe even the day of, Tears of the Kingdom came out. I think we recorded that Friday, and I
Yeah.
knew I was going to buy it. I knew it, and I found this deal where you could trade in 2 games and pick it up at GameStop for $20. So I found 2 games that I don't really play, or I don't really, have a nostalgia for. Didn't want to keep in my collection, and picked up a copy of Tears of the Kingdom for $20. So my goal was simply, Brett, don't open it, don't play it. I know you want to. So I had the little devil and little angel on my shoulders, and I'm happy to report that the angel prevailed, and Tears of the Kingdom is still in the shrink wrap, and it will be coming out soon because it's June, and so I made it, just the 2 weeks. So fear not, all of you out there in listening land who are like, "What? That's the worst goal ever. You should be playing that game right now." I will be playing it soon, but I earned my 2 points. What was your gaming goal?
So my goal is pretty much the same, just a little bit of a different background, but my goal is not to start a new game. And the reason why, kind of the same thing. I had too many games that I was playing, and it just wasn't going to work out. However, I think it was last month. It might have been 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I had a side quest to get Red Dead Redemption on the Steam Deck. And I talked about this, how I wasn't able to get it to work. I got frustrated. I sold my Steam Deck. It is gone. I instead got gosh, I can't even remember what the name of the little handheld streaming device is right now. Logitech G Cloud. Thank you, memory. I got a Logitech G Cloud. I just
Nice
spaced
job.
it for. I was like, I got this little white tablet thingy, but I got a
Well, you know
Logitech.
what? Just real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but this is our second time recording the episode, and you did forget something in the last episode. You forgot what present you gave Steph for Mother's Day.
Yeah,
So, and you didn't remember it by the end of the episode. You had to go ask her so that you could talk about it in this episode. And now you almost forgot what streaming device you did, but you remembered it. So, actually, this is a little embarrassing, Josh, that your priorities are a little askew here. Your memory's better with gaming than it is with what you bought your wife for Mother's Day.
yeah.
I'm a
My
little
memory's
concerned
not
here.
good. Yeah, my memory's not good with anything. Like, let's be clear on that. Like,
Me too.
I have a Monday morning team meeting for work, and they'll always say like the typical like, "Oh, how was your weekend?" And I'll be like, "What the crap did I do yesterday and Saturday?" Like,
Right.
I don't
Hey,
know.
when they ask you tomorrow, you can say you spent half of your weekend recording a podcast.
Yeah, and then see their eyes get all big like what now. I don't know if that's even a territory I want to go into. That's going to raise a lot of questions. um Anyways, if I can remember where we're okay. So the Logitech G Cloud, I started when I got the Logitech G Cloud, I really wanted to see if it would stream Red Dead. I mean, that was why I sold my Steam Deck, because I got so frustrated. And I told myself I was just going to play a little bit of Red Dead just to kind of like say like, yep, it does, and then come back to it later because Tears of the Kingdom was coming out, and I had a bunch of other games. Like, I still haven't even gotten Resident Evil 4, which is one of the remake, which is one of my all-time favorite games. It's killing me. I see our friend on Twitter, Nagachaka. He's constantly posting about it. I'm like, oh my goodness, how have I not played this? Um, Anyways, so I got into Red Dead, and I'm totally hooked again.
Hmm.
So my goal was I just
Nice.
wanted to focus on Red Dead. I didn't want to play 15, 20 hours of it and then put it down. And so I've been playing a ton of it. I think I'm only a third of the way through the game, but I think I've played about 40 hours in a couple weeks, which for me is unheard of. I just normally don't have that time, but I've been playing every single night for a couple hours and doing a bunch of side missions that I've never done before and a bunch of ones that I have done before, but it's my all-time favorite game. So just having a blast there. So that was my gaming goal, just like yours, was not to start a new game, just to focus on what I'm already playing. Let's get
Super.
into yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that was super impressive that you've played it for 40 hours on top of a full-time job, taking care of your kids, and how many things you've been listing on eBay. And we talked before the show that the time you spent listing all that stuff on eBay really is a full-time job or a second job. So super impressive you fit in 40 hours of gaming as well. Bravo.
Yeah, yeah. When people get upset at people that resell, because I do resell, I don't scalp. I don't take the new stuff off the store shelves. But when people get upset about reselling, I'm like, man, this is a lot of work. Like, yeah, I'm buying something cheap and then I'm making money off of it, but I am spending out, cleaning, resurfacing, taking pictures, uh, wrapping them up, shipping them out, all that kind of stuff. It takes time, especially when you're dealing with a lot of games. So yeah, definitely a lot of work there. But let's change gears and let's talk about what our fitness goals were for the last month. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I was coming off a bad month of only exercising 13 times. And the previous 3 months, I had exercised 16 times, 19 times, 19 times. I think one of those months, my goal was to get to 20. And that's still in the back of my mind. I want to get there. But I needed to do better than 13. 13 was pathetic. So I said, let's get to 18. I think at the time I had 10 exercise 10 times. We had 2 weeks left, and I thought I need 8 more. Or yeah, is that what my goal was? 18. Um, anyway, I got to 19. So I did one more than my goal. So definitely two
Nice.
points here. I'm in a good groove with exercise right now. Really enjoying this new app I found called the Shred app. It's high intensity interval training, and man, are they kicking my butt in such a good way, though. I'm feeling more flexible. I'm feeling like I have more endurance, more energy, and a more whole body approach versus what I'd been doing before, just isolated muscle groups. This is kind of working head to toe, and thoroughly enjoying it. Well, I'm enjoying the results. I'm not enjoying the exercises because they are brutal, and I get nauseous and I'm exhausted, and um, but I'm super happy. I went from 13 to 19. How was your fitness?
Well, congrats to you, because first off, you're saying like 13 like it's a bad thing. 13 is not bad. And
No, no, I was just
19,
saying in
yeah,
comparison to the first 3 months, it's quite a
true.
big drop.
True, but 19 on the last month of school with how busy things are for you, that's awesome. So you definitely deserve those 2 points and more. So congrats. My eating goal was to uh,
Fitness goal.
oh,
Tell me
sorry,
about your
my
fitness goal.
fitness goal. Thank you. My fitness goal was to exercise twice the first week and then to ramp it up to 3 times the remaining like week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever it was. I did accomplish that. That first week, I actually got in 3 times each of them, so I felt good about that. I'm not doing anything too crazy intensive, just lots of long walks with the dog. I told you that I had busted up my heel last month, and so I was trying not to be too intense with anything, but I've actually really enjoyed the walks, and it's been great exercise. So yeah, I did accomplish my fitness goal. But let's jump down to the eating goal, Brett. How did you do on your eating goal, and what was it?
Eating goal. Okay, so I got some great feedback from Mr. Ed Placencia, who we already mentioned once in this show. And I had said in the last episode I'd been drinking way too much soda, kind of how you were referring to. The last month of school is a little crazy for me. Soda was kind of helping me get through it. But I knew in June things were going to settle down and it would be a great month to have less soda. And Ed really encouraged me. He's like, "You can do it, man. Diet sodas are so unhealthy for you. This is a great goal for you." And so I was feeling really super motivated by his support. And my goal was to kind of wean down, so that when June comes, I could be more strict with totally trying to avoid soda. And I had been averaging between 40 and 80 ounces a day of soda, and I wanted to do no more than 12 ounces. And I'm happy to report that the last 10 days of May, that was my goal, just the last 10 days to drink no more than 12 ounces of soda. I was able to do that. In fact, I started out the first 5 days with these little mini, you seen the little mini sodas? I think they're like 7.5 ounces. I had a
Yeah,
bunch of those left over in the fridge of Coke Zero. They were great. Those are great. If you're just trying to get off soda, that just gives you, and you just need a little something while your body's trying to adjust. Those are great because they're just teeny tiny, recyclable. I'm not endorsing soda drinking, but I'm saying it's kind of like the nicotine patch for soda
right.
drinkers because it was just a
Yeah,
small
you
little
don't
thing.
you don't want to go cold turkey. That's rough.
Yeah, no, no, no. That would be rough. And I'm happy to say, last time I tried this to not drink soda, I only made it 3 days. So today is the third day of June, right? June 3rd. Oh no, it's June
June
fourth.
4th.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness, I made it 3 days. I'm working on my fourth day right now, so I've made it further than I did last time with no soda. So I got the water right here, and I'm on the right path with my eating. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Ed. And yeah, let's talk about your eating goal now. Well, I drink my
Okay,
water.
so my goal was to be consistent and under calories the last 10 days before the podcast. And I had counted up, and before we recorded the first time, which is what I'm going to count because I know we're recording 2 days later, I so basically the goal was to be kind of back on track for me, which is to be under calories 80% of the time. I think I had counted that I was under 70%. So I'm giving myself 1 point. I didn't quite reach it. I was close, but the Memorial Day weekend derailed that. I didn't do very well there. If we were counting today, I would have got it. So I do feel good about it. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm doing well there, and still losing weight that I'd put on vacation. So definitely feeling good about things. Definitely feeling like we're back on track. Last month when we recorded, that was kind of the overall theme of our goals was to get back on track. We felt like we had kind of gotten derailed in May, and so, or I guess in April. So I'm happy to say that yeah, things are looking up, and yeah, 1 point there, but definitely feeling good about it.
I love it. We don't want to beat ourselves up for sure, and just that's the key. Is you're gonna have ups and downs all the time, building some positive momentum, even if it's just little baby steps. And you did great, man. I'm looking at our points right now for May, and you earned a total of 16 points. I earned a total of 12. So that actually put you back up ahead 2 levels. You're at level 13 right now. I'm at level 11. I don't want to fall 3 levels behind. That's 2 levels is I can catch up. I did. I was 2 levels behind in April. I caught up in May. Now I'm 2 levels behind again. So I got to catch up here. I can't fall 3 levels behind. So I have one more chance to earn points today, Josh, and that's with the mini game. And here's what's going to happen. And I know you're going to announce the mini game here in just a minute. But if I win the mini game, that will give me the last 2 points I need to get to level 12. And here's what's really sad. It's every 5 points we level up. You're sitting at 68 points. I'm sitting at 58. So if I get my 2, I'm up to 60, which is level 12. If you get the 2 from the mini game, you're up to 70, and that's level 14. That would put me 3 levels behind. So there's a lot at stake with the mini game. And in full disclosure, I lost the mini game last Friday when we recorded. Now we debated. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, but second chances are a beautiful thing. Okay, because what we decided to do is play the same game. Well, I don't want to spoil it too much, but we're gonna mix up the questions. I'll let you explain all that in just a minute, but there's still a chance. It's kind of like Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah,
but anyway, great job.
This is definitely new life for you, because I kicked your butt in the podcast that has now gone to the ether. But let's lighten the mood and let's get into the mini game.
Okay, so speaking of the podcast going to the ether, I've saved that podcast. I'm thinking maybe it's kind of like Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan, the Lost Levels. Someday we might release that, the Lost Podcast. I'm gonna put it in an archive folder somewhere, and maybe for a 1-year anniversary, we'll release some snippets of the Lost Podcast. But I'm totally feeling like I've got my, we'll stick with the Mario theme. I've got my green 1-up mushroom. I've got one more life in me. So tell us about this game, because I am pumped.
Okay, so tonight's mini game is called My World versus Your World. So each of us are tasked with getting 3 questions for the other person related to something that is that ties to each of us. So, for example, for my world, I'm going to ask you questions about some video game values, some common games that I will find while out at yard sales or looking at classified ads. And I'm going to make this a little bit easier, because I think if the first time was a practice round, I told you had to be within 20%. I'm going to say 30%. I'm going to lighten it just a little bit, give you a little more of a buffer. Okay, so you need to be within 30% of the value of the game. All the games are complete in box. They're not loose games. And the values come off pricecharting.com, which takes an average of eBay and Amazon sales to give an estimated value of what that game is currently going for. So that's the questions I'm going to be asking you. Brett, what type of questions are you going to be asking me? What's your world?
So my world is when I'm not playing video games and I'm looking to develop some other hobbies, is music. And I have participated. I mentioned going to Banff when I was in high school. That was with a performing orchestra. Orchestra. I can't even say it. And I played the French horn. I also played the piano. So we performed a lot of classical music, a lot of fun. And one thing I love about classical music is there's a lot of orchestral music in video games. And if you've ever studied or performed classical orchestral music, you'll see a lot of the similarities or at least you'll see that the composers of video game music are familiar with the different styles and genres of classical music, and clearly have studied that and incorporate that into gaming. And there's some incredibly talented composers that have created some beautiful music in video games. And I just love the sound of a full 100 musicians playing at the same time in unison and in harmony. And in a video game in particular, it can really just grab you at the right moment and pull out some emotions that you didn't know were there. And so what I decided to do, Josh, is to test your classical music knowledge. Now, last time I thought I picked some easy songs. You did get one right. I'm going with, like you, I'm being a little more lenient this time. I'm picking a little easier, what I think are even easier songs. And what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to play a little snippet from them. And I
Are they
want
Foo
you to
Fighters
tell.
songs? Because that might be my only hope.
Well, I don't know if the Foo Fighters have ever taken any classical motifs and put them into the music, but there's quite a few, especially hip hop artists,
Metallica
who have
S&M?
taken. Maybe.
Okay,
I don't
okay,
know.
we'll see.
Just you'll wait and see. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. And music historians have created these loose categories where different styles of music have changed throughout history, and there's been a major change in the structure of the music, and they've given these different eras names. And I would like you to identify what era this particular piece of music is coming from. And I'm going to give you the name of the composer. I'm going to give you the name of the song, play a little bit of it. And for our audience and for you, Josh, I need you to tell me if it was from the medieval times, which is 1150 to 1400, or from the Renaissance, which is 1400 to 1600, or Baroque from 1600 to 1750. And then we get into the more recognizable eras: classical music from 1750 to 1830, early romantic 1830 to 1860, late romantic 1860 to 1920, and then 20th century music is anything from 1920s on. And these categories are very distinct. The music really changes dramatically between these periods, and the more familiar you become with them, the more you can quickly recognize what era a piece of music is from. So, with that
Well,
said, would you like to go first, or have you
yeah,
go first?
I'll go first, but I'll say this. We spoke a few minutes ago about how I forget things. When we first talked about, when I first introduced this mini game to me, you texted me a list of these periods and said, like, write these down, save them somewhere. And then when we recorded a couple days ago, I totally forgot. I'm like, Brett, remind me what the categories are. Well, guess what? I still didn't write them down. So you're going to have to remind me as we go again.
That's okay. I'll do the same thing since you're giving me 30%. Let's see, I've got 6 categories here. I will narrow it down to 3. I'll tell you that this piece of music is one of these 3.
Okay, we'll see how lucky I am at guessing. Okay, so last time, just for a little behind the scenes, the games that I gave you, and I'm not going to go over in detail, but I gave you Wii Sports, which is a really common one I come up or find a lot. Mario Kart Double Dash, which was a valuable one. And then, do you remember what the third one was? It was Halo 2,
Halo 2.
which was a low dollar because it was a common one. So I had to find 3 different games. And the first one that I'm giving to you is Red Dead Redemption 2 because I love it.
Ooh.
So this is Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PlayStation 4. And I actually need to change this to complete in box. There we go. Sorry, all I had was
Now,
loose.
is
I'm like, nope.
this is
Uh,
used?
this is used. This is not new. These are all complete in box, meaning that if you were to buy it off me on eBay, when you would receive it, you would get it with the case and the manual. If it has manual, some of the new games don't, and the disc or cartridge or whatever as well. You wouldn't be just getting the disc. So this is Red Dead Redemption 2 on the PlayStation 4. What's your
Okay.
guess on the value?
Well, when you text me pictures of things you pick up at yard sales, oftentimes you'll tell me the price. And I've learned, similar to my game, there's categories. There's the most recent generation of games, which would be the PS4, and those values tend to be really low because people are trying to get rid of those and get the newest one. So we're in that category. We're in that. But Red Dead is a pretty popular game, and I've seen it on sale new occasionally for $20, but most of the time I see it listed for about 50 new. I don't think it's going to be less than 20 used because it doesn't go on sale very often. So I'm going to think if someone's going to buy this, it's probably going to be around that sell price used, which is around $20. Final answer.
That's a good answer. You're not quite there. You're pretty close. It was 15. So you're
Okay.
$5 off. You're not quite within 30%. You're really close though.
Dang. Okay.
So
15.
yeah,
Yeah.
$15 is the going rate for it as well, which a lot of times that includes shipping too. So you'd probably pay like 10, $11 and then shipping. So yeah, you were right though in thinking that PlayStation 4, since it is something everyone's getting rid of, would be low dollar games. So you were close. I liked your train of thought.
Dang it. Dang it. Okay. Okay. I was close. That's better than I did last time. So it's okay if I missed the first one. I've got two more chances. All right, for you, my friend, I'm going to start with a piece of music that inspired John Williams when writing Star Wars. And this is a piece of music that every time I play it for someone, they immediately go, "That's Star Wars." And or they're ripping off Star Wars. And I definitely want to point out that this was written before Star Wars, so you can have that.
So John Williams ripped off this song, is what you're saying.
John Williams, I don't want to say ripped off because John Williams
Are
is
you
a
calling
genius,
John
but
Williams a fraud? Is that
no, that's
basically what you're telling us?
blasphemy. That's blasphemy. He's one of the most talented and incredible composers of all time, and if not the greatest of this generation. So no, no, no. But no one really, no artist will ever say they come up with something completely original. They're
Right.
always taking from the past. So that's okay. That's okay. They're still great artists. So I might have to fast forward here just a minute. I'm going to start this at the
Kind of
one
like
minute
Vanilla
mark.
Ice stealing, what was it, Under Pressure? Is that what it was? I mean,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like that,
that's
right? Ice Ice Baby?
not quite the same,
Oh,
but
okay.
will these analogies you have that you're trying to make with classical music, I understand where you're coming from, but you're way out of your league here. Just listen to this. Here, it's beautiful. Building. Let's wait for it. And here's the main theme. Sounds a little bit like the Imperial March, maybe. Now, one thing I got to mention about this particular piece of music is it was written by Gustav Holst. It's called The Planets, and he wrote a different song for each of the planets. So there's one for Mercury and Venus and Mars and Jupiter, and this one's Mars, and it's called "The Bringer of War." So you could kind of hear that beat as if people were going off to war. In fact, what it reminds me of, I watched The Gladiator recently, and it actually sounds more like the Gladiator music than it does Star Wars to me. But most people think it's
See,
Star Wars.
all I heard was Star Wars, and all I'm thinking is, even though Brett's like, John Williams did rip, I'm like, this is suspect. This is awfully close to Star Wars. Um, so now you're making me question everything I know in life.
So yeah, so let me give you three different periods. Okay,
Okay.
it's definitely more modern. Okay, definitely more modern. And but we got the early Romantic, which is 1830 to 1860, late Romantic, 1860 to 1920, and then 20th century, anything from 1920 on.
Um, I'm gonna go with late romantic. I think it sounds like it wouldn't have been that far off.
Yeah, that is a good guess. You're right on, and it's so close to 20th century. I was hoping I could get you to sneak this one into the 20th
That was
century,
the other place
but
I
I
was
think
leaning. Yeah.
yeah, it's right there on the border. Like if I could somehow quantify this based on 30%, you would have been within the 30% because it was
What year
written
did
in
Star Wars
19.
come out? Because I'm wondering if this came out like a year or two before, maybe.
No, no, no. Yeah, no. This is nine. This was 18. I think 16. Sorry, 1916, and
Okay.
then the modern era starts in 1920. So right there, we're gonna put it in late romantic. You got it. 1 point for you.
Nice.
Oh man, I'm already worried we're gonna have the same outcome as last Friday. But go
Well,
ahead and give me your next
let's see.
question.
I'm hoping that maybe this next one will be one that you can get. So this one is NCAA Football 14 on the Xbox 360. Now, Brett, do you know anything about NCAA Football 14?
Okay, I know that's close to the time when it was the last it was either 14, 15, or 13 that it was the last time I guess it was EA maybe that was making the games could license the likeness of college athletes. Was
Yes.
it
So
14 or is that the
this
year?
this this is the very last NCAA football game you can get. That
Mm,
is a hint in and of itself. If you want to
yeah,
play the latest and greatest NCAA football, it would be NCAA Football 14 until I think next year. Next year they're supposed to be coming out with a new one. At which point
right.
the value of any previous NCAA football games will plummet. Um, but as of right now, this is the latest and greatest.
I remember you telling me once that these were so rare that people were starting to pay like it had priced some people out, and they were starting to pay as much as they used to pay for 14 for 13 for the second to last one. And I think it was $100 at the time for the 14, and now 13's around $100, and I'm guessing that this is like doubled in price because it's become even more rare. So I'm going in the $200 range, but I don't want to say right at 200 because I think I'll be a little off. So I'm going to say 180.
Hmm. When you started talking about $100, it's like, oh, he's gonna get one. It is $93.99.
Really? Oh, because I
Yeah.
thought that's what
Now,
13 was going for, and these ones have like doubled in cost.
13 got up to about 40, $50. I want to, last I checked, which has been a little while. Last I checked, it's down to like 20 or 30.
Mm.
But NCA 14 is, yeah, just under the $100 mark. Now, it tends to spike up when football season starts. And I've seen it go as high as like 150, 160. I don't know if it'll spike up this year or not. If people will know that, hey, one more year and the new one will be out. Once the new one comes out, this thing's going to be like $10, um, if not dollar
So if
bin.
you have one, now's the time to sell it
Yeah. Oh, I,
to
I sold
maximize your
mine.
profits.
I sold mine knowing that I can wait a year and I'd rather get the money than have this thing be worthless. But yeah, you were on the right track, and I wanted to
Dang it.
stop you right there.
Dang it. Oh,
But
yes.
yeah,
Well, that's a common theme.
93.99.
That's a common theme. I talk too much. Just next time, tell me to shut up, and that applies to the whole episode. Okay.
Just be like, when you said 100, you got it.
Yes, yes. Just stop me right there. All right, sir. I don't know if I'm going to be able to trick you on this one. Now, this particular recording, I'm not a huge fan of because it's a little slower than I usually hear this song. I'm going to start it from the beginning. It might go a little longer than I'd normally like, but I want to get to the part that you'd recognize the most. This is played on an organ. It's a composition by Johann Sebastian Bach. Very, very famous. You'll recognize it. Toccata and Fugue in D minor. Here you go. So everyone recognizes that. Yeah, see, there's a delay. I'm like, come on, organist. He's taking these big pauses between. Play already. This is the only free version I can find, though. But I want to get to my favorite part, where he plays like all of these chords and holds them down, and the organ is just vibrating like crazy. Here it comes. Right here. And if you've ever heard that performed live in a church or a cathedral, it's just shaking because the organ makes its sound by literally sending air through these giant pipes, and they're just vibrating violently. They're huge. They're 10 inches in diameter, and they're just shaking the whole building. It's quite the experience to um, see that performed live. So here are your three choices, my friend. Johann Sebastian Bach. Was this from the Renaissance, which is the 1400s to 1600s, Baroque, 16 to 1715, or Classical, 1715 to 1830?
I definitely know the song. I can't say that I know when this was. And it's a song that we play every Halloween
Yeah.
for the kids, for the trick or treaters. I am going to say if it's not Baroque, don't fix it. So I'm going to say Baroque.
Your wife must be subliminally teaching you these things because, yes, you are right. You say you
Yes.
don't know these things.
I just guessed, Brett.
100% correct. Baroque. Baroque, my
Just
friend.
guess.
So, game's over. I can't win. You've got 2 points. There's only one more question left for me, and I haven't earned any points. So, congratulations. But let's finish out the quiz just for fun.
Okay, so just for funsies, the last one I had was New Super Mario Brothers Wii, a very uh, kind of a common one in the sense that it's one that I find a lot. That there were a lot of sold copies of this, but it's also one that people still like and bundles very well with a Wii system. If you have it, a lot of people ask, like, "Hey, do you have the Mario game?"
That's a good one. Now, I guessed $20 earlier, and it was 15. I feel like if I guess 15, I'm going to be too low. But I really don't think it's that much more than $20. I need to get one right. Didn't I get one right last Friday?
I
Or no, I
don't
think I
know
got
that.
them
I
all
don't
wrong.
know that you did. Did you?
Okay, so this will, even though I've already lost this game, it'll be a win for me if I can at least get one question right. Because so far, if you count the 3 questions from Friday and the 2 from today, I'm 0 for 5. Please, Brett. Please. Can this please just be worth around $25, please? 25. Final answer.
Hey, 26.95. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Even though I lost the game, I can't tell you how good I feel right now for at least getting one
which
right.
which is interesting that it came up that high because for me it's one that hovers between 15 and 20. And maybe it's just gone up over the last little bit. But if I were to sell it at 20 and then with shipping, it'd be like 25. So yeah, like that's probably about right. But one that I wanted to throw in one that I find a lot since we already did Wii Sports before, and that's probably the next most common one is New Super Mario Brothers Wii. So yeah, good job.
Nice. Oh, thank you. Monkey off my back for sure. Okay, well, the last one I picked for you, my friend, you are, as you were saying earlier, I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but it kind of alluded to the fact that you love a good burger. Um, and this particular song was featured in, I don't remember the organization, but it was like the United States U.S. beef industry back in the 90s, maybe early
Beef.
2000s.
It's what's for dinner.
Yes. Yes. Do you remember that commercial?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
This music was in that commercial. Now, where is this music from?
Do
It's
do
not
do do
from the beef.
do. Is that the
That's
song?
McDonald's.
I'm
That's
loving
McDonald's. That's McDonald's. And that was a jingle. That is not classical music.
I
The beef
know. I
commercial. I
know.
know. The beef commercial is from a ballet. And funny story here. I don't know if you remember me telling you this, but I took my entire school to the ballet this year, and they just so happened to be performing this particular ballet. It was so fun. I had so many kids, obviously, who had never been to a ballet before. I mean, there's a lot of adults who have never been to a ballet, and I took 400 kids to see this ballet. It was really entertaining, really bright colored costumes, really fun music, great dancing, and it was written by a man named Aaron Copland. And the name of this ballet is Rodeo, which is funny because it's spelled like rodeo, and it has a cowboy theme, kind of like a Red Dead Redemption type theme. It's about cowboys. And so why the heck do we pronounce it rodeo and not rodeo? Well, that's the snobby classical musician coming out, in my opinion. I don't know if there's any
Oh yes.
actual resources behind this, but of course we can't call it a rodeo. It has to be a rodeo. Anyway,
Rodeo.
there were different songs, and this song is called "The Hoedown," and it's all about beef. It's what's for dinner. Oh, I'm going to scoot forward just a
I
little bit
recognize this.
to the
Yeah.
part. I know you know the beginning, but let me get to the really, really famous part here. All right, we'll start right here. See, it's a fun one.
Yeah.
beef. It's what's for dinner. Anyway, this is one I like to keep playing because it's so fun. But that's the Rodeo Ballet. Now, your choices
Okay.
here, my friend. I'm going to give you the same choices I did for the planets because it was written in one of those three. Early romantic, late romantic, or 20th century. Do you want the years again, or you got it?
No, it sounds modern, but maybe it's just because I know it from those commercials. But I'm just going to say 20th century.
I think you got all three of these right, my friend. Yes, this is the 20th century. Brilliant job. I'm proud of you. Seriously though,
I'm
I'm if I was going to lose this game, I want to lose in this fashion by sharing my world with someone else who it's not their world, but they still can appreciate it.
Well, Brett, you're proud of me, and I'm, to be honest, a little disappointed in you. Not for the reason you're going to think, though. Not for the reason you're going to
Okay.
think. You're going to think, oh, I didn't do very well. Here's
Yeah.
why. When we
Okay. Why?
previously recorded, you
Yeah.
played the Macho Man's entrance music as one of the songs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I
And
still have it queued up.
the graduation, whatever, pomp and circumstance, right?
Yeah. Oh, see, you remember it. Good memory.
I was hoping you would have snuck in another classical song that was a wrestler's theme. I don't know what else it would have been, but I loved that, and so I was like, I know you can't play the same one again because that would have been cheating.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
hoping you would
Well,
have snuck one in there.
I didn't know that this song here that I'm about to play that I did last Friday was Macho Man's walking music, but here it
Oh
is for our audience.
yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I don't think I even could have found another classical music that was used in wrestling had I done a little more research. But
The
challenge
only one I
accepted.
can think of, and I don't know if this is classical music or not, but Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, used to come out to was it the Space Odyssey theme?
Oh
Um,
yes, also Sprach Zarathustra by Richard Wagner.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's a
That
good
was that
one.
was
Oh,
that
so
was that
Ric
was a
Flair.
Nature Boy Ric Flair. So there you go.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that
Well,
was
that's gonna be
fun.
a side mission. A side mission of mine in the future is to do some research and find out all the classical music that was used in wrestling over the years. I'm
Yeah, it
going to
was
do some
probably you'd
research.
probably have to look at like 80s and 90s wrestling because once they got into the Attitude Era, they kind of went away from classical music and it was more, Attitude Era like hard rock, rap type stuff.
Yeah,
But anyways,
very
okay,
cool.
that was fun. It was fun to kick your butt for a second time. But let's have you scoot over, make some room for me, and let's hop on the couch together and get into our co-op time. Okay, so Brett. So last month we talked about already, our couch co-op goal was to text each other daily, and we felt like that was something that was good for both of us. And we only did it for a couple weeks because we had the short month. Um, and since we're not very creative, we decided together that since we enjoyed this, that we're just going to continue this on for one more month. What are your thoughts about that?
I would absolutely love that. It was so helpful. And once you got the momentum, you don't want to stop. Let's keep that momentum going. June is going to be, for me, the perfect month to really take that momentum and build habits. And because I don't have the stress, I have more time to text you. A lot of times you would text me in the morning and I wouldn't be able to text you until later in the day because I'd be at work and super busy. And so I'll be able to text you back more quickly this time. So I'm super looking forward to this. I think this is a great couch co-op goal. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? We're not super creative guys. And I like this. Is there any um, advantage that you see in repeating this goal in June?
Yeah, for sure. Just a lot of what you said, building momentum. I think we've done a really good job with the co-op goals of kind of having diverse goals. Like sometimes it's an actual, like, let's couch co-op a game, let's online play a game. Sometimes it's been like, let's do something with each of our spouses, but both do the same thing, like we did the go on walks with your spouse type thing. So I like this, and I know it's not something new, but it really is going to help us to have a really successful June. So I am really excited about this. Next month we'll figure out something different, whether it's gaming related or whatnot. We'll see. But yeah, I'm really happy to do this one for a second time. I think it'll be just really good in building habits and continuing in those habits.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I have something I want to say about the couch co-op goal, and you mentioned that sometimes we play an online game too. There really is two different types of co-op. You've got your couch co-op, which you're playing from the same in the same room, which is how we grew up with co-op, right? And then you've got your online co-op, your online play. And this is something we can edit out if you don't want, but you and I had both mentioned that we wanted to maybe play around with getting some of our listeners to participate. And I was just kind of thinking, a co-op, this section of our podcast would be a great place to throw out to our online community to play along. And, you and me are doing the couch version because we're in the same room, so to speak, metaphorical room here. But we got our online people. Maybe they could give us, shout out some of their goals or some of their struggles or some of their accomplishments in terms of fitness and eating and gaming. We can just give some shout outs to them at this time as they participate and play along with us during the co-op section. So, what do you think of doing something like that for next month?
Yeah, I actually really like that. And I'd mentioned in a previous episode that we were going to reach out, and we have to a couple people over Twitter and just kind of simply just said, "Hey, how are your goals going? What are you doing? How's it coming along?" type thing. But yeah, I really like this because it makes a big difference to me when someone says like, "Hey, great job on this, that, or the other," or "Hey, how's this type of thing going?" And I've had a few people um, reach out, and whenever I get those messages, it really does mean a lot. And especially if you're like struggling, right? Like if you're not doing well, you're like, well, crap, I don't want to let anyone down. So yeah, I really like this. We'll have to do that for sure.
All right, all right. So Josh and I will figure that out, and maybe on the next episode you can participate in the co-op. So be looking for that on the socials. We'll talk more about that offline, Josh. So, but I'm looking forward to our co-op goal together. And actually, I'm already starting to look forward to July too, because I think we need to get back to some actual gaming co-op. You and I, we haven't gamed
Yeah,
online in a while. That would be
yeah,
super
for
fun this
sure.
summer.
Okay, well, that's our co-op goal. So now let's start the grind and let's dive into our side quests. Okay, Brett, let's get through these quickly. I'm going to go through and tell you my side quests, and then you can go through and tell me yours. So I had already mentioned this before, but I didn't feel like I really did a great job with this. So I am putting the pressure on myself again to do something nice for someone else. So I've already tried to like start and think like, hey, who can I do something for? I don't know that I have the answer yet, but that's something that's going to be a focus of mine this month is to try and do something, and it doesn't have to be anything large, but just try and do something for someone else. Do
And can I
you?
interrupt you real quick here
No, you
because
can't. Sorry.
I love that you do this goal or any of your goals sometimes because they inspire me and kind of what we were hoping for and obviously not anticipating or necessarily worrying that it would happen, but we were hoping some of our listeners would feel a little inspired to, make some changes or make some goals in their own life. And one thing I did yesterday after our podcast on Friday is when I woke up in the morning, someone on our neighborhood Facebook group had asked for some help with their Ring doorbell. And this is something normally I wouldn't do. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back by any means, but I replied and said, "Hey, I could come take a look at it for you." And I went over there. It turns out it's a lady whose husband is deployed right now and just really doesn't know anything about electronics or anything. And I was able to, troubleshoot it with her and kind of diagnose the problem. We didn't quite get it fixed, but we kind of have a game plan. And I'm going to follow up with her and hopefully get it fixed. But I totally did that because of you. you inspired me. So I just wanted to give you a big shout out for that.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. That's really great. Um, yeah, and you'll have to follow up and let us know if you're able to get it working or not. So the next side quest I had was to finish tearing out the swing set in my yard. So on Memorial Day, I decided to rip it out. It had started to have a little bit of a tilt to it, and I didn't feel great about the kids playing on something that was starting to get a little wobbly. And this is a swing set the previous owners put in. I don't know when they put it in, but we've been in our house over 10 years now. So it had aged, and my oldest son Andrew and I went and took hammers and saws and just ripped the thing apart. But we have a big pile now in the backyard uh, of wood that's sharp and splintery, and so I need to get that cleared out. So that is one of my side quests. The next one, and this is more gaming related, is to reorganize my game shelves. And this was inspired by you because
Huh.
I mentioned that I had, or that I'm in the process of selling off half of my games, really stuff that I'm not nostalgic for, or just, stuff that I just started collecting instead of, stuff that I really, really wanted to play. So the stuff that I've kept is stuff that I have either played before or still am, planning on playing, really looking forward to playing. And I used to have 4 shelves behind me. I now fit everything into 2, and so I have one shelf I just got rid of completely. That was the one that used to have my cartridge games. But now I have this third shelf, and I remember I texted you a picture of everything on the 2 shelves, and in the shot of the picture was the one empty shelf, and you said like, "Hey, are you gonna get rid of that third shelf, or are you gonna kind of spread it all out?" And originally I'd planned like just getting rid of it, like just fitting everything on these 2 and calling it good. But then I thought like it's a little crammed. So my goal is to reorganize the game shelves. Make it look nice and pretty. Won't look as nice as yours, but to try and I might have to reach out to you
Oh,
for
it
some
will.
help because I am not good at this type of stuff. Um, but yeah,
That's so funny you
then
said that because I'm inspired by your game shelf. In fact, you had some things on your shelf that light up, and I was kind of wanting to get something from my shelf that lights up because I really like the way it looks. So I definitely don't think I'm an expert at this, but happy to help if I can.
okay. My next goal is we talked about that I tracked down Mario Kart Wii for you. So my goal is to get it to you this month. Just because I don't like to hold on to things forever. And yeah, so whether that's mailing it to you, meeting you up somewhere, going to your house, whatever it is. I know we don't live necessarily super close together. We're about an hour away. But my goal is to get that to you this month. Um, Now, let's see. Going down the list, I also had a goal to list all my remaining consoles. And let me explain this quickly. So, last month, that goal was to prep all my games to sell. In the process of last month, I went to a yard sale, talked to a guy, asked him if he had games because I always ask. And he's like, "Well, I got a ton of stuff back at my place, but this is I think it was his girlfriend's place." And so I was like, "Cool, let me get your number and reach out to you." And, a lot of times that doesn't pan out, but sometimes it does. I met up with him, I think it was later that night or the following night. I don't remember. I think it was later that night. Met up with him really late at night. And he had this huge bin full of mostly consoles. And there was a Sega Saturn, there was a PS1, a PS3, a couple GameCubes, a Super Nintendo, just a lot of consoles. And so now those are spread out all over my office. It's a big mess. So my goal is to get those all listed, maybe not sold, but all listed and in the process of selling them here in this next month. And my final goal is I'm going down to Moab this weekend. I haven't been down there in a long time, probably 8 or 10 years. So this Moab is southern Utah where the arches are. And my goal while I'm down there for the 3 days is to only have one cheat day because anytime I'm on any sort of vacation, you're outside of your house, it's difficult to eat well, especially if you're eating out a lot. So we're going to be doing a lot of hiking. That'll help to get those steps in. But the goal is to only have one cheat day while I'm down there, so I don't get too far off track. So those are my side quests. Brett, what are yours?
Well, I have 7 side quests, and you just went over 6. And I did want to mention 2 of your side quests. Just give you feedback on it real quick. One of my favorite sayings, I don't think I've shared it on the podcast yet, is "You can't outrun your fork." And so I love your goal with the one cheat day in Moab because, yeah, you're going to be doing a ton of hiking, but you could hike all day, every day. And if you eat really crappy, all that hiking or running, you're never going to outrun what you put in your mouth. So
Right.
that's a little mantra I've always tried to tell myself. Now, and then the other thing I want to say is you have 6 goals, but you had originally only had 5. And I went in to our little tracking sheet where we write our goals. And as I had mentioned, I was 2 levels behind you and then 1 level behind. And now I'm 2 levels behind you again. And this is what we had said from the beginning of our podcast is a great place to try and make up some ground. I am behind and side quests are unlimited. You can do as many as you want. So I saw you did 5. So I wrote 7. When we went in to record Friday, you had added 2 more, you little stinker. And so I'm like, I don't have any chance here if you're going to keep adding more side quests. So you did me a solid. You cut it down to 6. So if I do all of my side quests and you do all of yours, I'll at least close the gap a little bit. So I got to give you a big shout out for that. And with that being said, let me go through my side quests here. I'm hoping these are ones I can accomplish this month. The first 2 have to do with auditioning. My daughter, who we mentioned, just graduated. The thing she loved to do in high school was be in theater, and something I loved to do back when I was in high school. And we've always wanted to be in a show together. And her favorite show of all times is called Into the Woods, which is a musical that they've turned into a movie. So some of you may have seen the movie starring James Corden and Emily Blunt. And a local community theater is doing it here. And my daughter and I are going to prep and audition for that. And that's my goal, to get a song ready and get and attend that audition. And so we're hoping we get cast, even if it's just some small part. It could be fun to do share that common experience together. Then my work in August is having a very large back to school conference. And we have close to 40,000 employees that attend this conference. And last year it was held in an arena where we have a minor league hockey team. Next year, or this year, sorry, it's at a big event center. And we hired someone last year to come out and speak to us to try and motivate us as teachers and administrators to have a good year. And the feedback, and it was the first time in our uh, since I've worked there in the last decade that we've done something like this, that we've all gotten together in one location. We're usually too big, and we usually spread out between 4 different high schools. And it was really fun to see all the employees in one place. Well, a lot of those employees said, "Hey, you know, it'd be really fun is just we don't need to spend the money to hire someone. Let's just hear from some of our local people." And we're having, and of course, the really important people will be speaking, like the superintendent and the board members. But they have opened up 5 minutes, so just a very small portion of the overall program, for a teacher and an administrator to give a 5 minute TED talk. And the way these people will be chosen is based on an audition. And so I don't know why I like to do these kinds of things. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She said she would run the other way, and here I'm running towards the fire, so to speak. But I just think it would be a really cool experience to stand in front of 40,000. I've never done anything like that, and because of my theater background that I mentioned ago, I'm not shy to do something like this. So I'm going to submit an audition for this opportunity, and if I don't get it, that's fine. But I think if I did get it, I might regret it, but it would be super fun. So I'm going to prepare my audition for my TED Talk. And then you had mentioned earlier that your wife is in Disneyland right now, and I'm heading to California next weekend. You're going to Moab, I'm going to California. And while I'm down there, I'm not going to Disneyland, but I'm going to go to Universal Studios instead, because as you all probably know, the new Super Mario World opened in Universal Studios. And because it's so new, I was thinking, there's probably a lot of people who are like us, dads, and like video games that maybe want to go see what it's all about, but Haven't had a chance yet. So I thought it'd be cool if I just made some short little videos there, kind of showing people what the rides look like, maybe giving my opinion on the rides. Not that anyone cares about my opinion. Maybe showing some of the food they sell there and posting it on the Fit Dad Game Dad YouTube site. So that's one of my goals, is to put together a little review of Super Mario World. Then this next one is an interesting one, and this is a PSA for all of you out there. I had mentioned I sold my Switch and bought the Zelda Switch. I did not download my save files because I thought they were in the cloud, and they were. But what I didn't know that Nintendo does or doesn't do is they don't save your cloud files if you're not a member of their online subscription service, which usually I am, but I had let mine lapse. Well, Nintendo recognizes that might happen from time to time, but what I didn't know is they will only save your files for 6 months. So if your subscription lapses, you've got 6 months to resubscribe or to download those save files, or they're gone forever. And mine lapsed in September. So they are
What a bummer.
long gone. Yes, and me and my daughter had been playing Luigi's Mansion. We're about halfway through the game. Our save file is gone. Now, you had a good idea of maybe looking online, finding a save file that's halfway through. I might try that avenue. If not, I told my daughter I would play late at night in bed and get us caught back up single player, because at any time you can add co-op. So I would single player it back up to where we were, and then her and I will finish it off in co-op. So my goal is to at least get back to where we were. And hopefully you guys don't make that same mistake with your save files in Nintendo. Hopefully I've saved a few of you through my error. I'm going to be cleaning the garage this summer, and I have some bicycles that are in the way, and I bought this pulley system. So one of my goals is to hang that up, get those bikes out of the way. I mentioned my Legos are still in boxes. This is the month, man. I have some time. I'm going to get all those Legos out of the boxes. So this is a carryover goal. Let's get that done. And for my last side quest, I got to explain what it is I'm going to finish watching Picard season 3. I'm a huge Star Trek Next Generation fan. I'm actually a bigger Star Trek fan than I am Star Wars fan. That might be blasphemous to some of you, but man, I really love the Next Generation. I really love season 1 and season 2 of Picard. But the only time I watch television is when I'm exercising. I have a TV in my exercise room, and I can only catch about 80% of it, which for most shows, that's fine. But there might be an exercise here or there where I'm not facing the TV, or I'm really exerting myself and I might miss a little bit of the plot, and that's fine for pretty much every show I watch, but not for Picard. I want to just be super focused. Well, I don't have any, I just really don't watch TV outside of exercising. So in order to accomplish this goal, I have to force myself to sit down on the couch, to not be answering work emails, to not be doing anything for my family, budgeting or anything like that, and definitely not to be exercising and not gaming. And it's hard to put all 4 of those things to bed and just focus on one thing on the TV. But I'm going to do that with Picard because I just love it so much. So those are my 7 side quests. I hope I get all 7 so I can catch up just a little bit to you, my friend.
You found the goal or the side quest that is like the antithesis of Fit Dad Game Dad. Like, I cannot game, I cannot work out. This is my goal to watch TV.
Right.
I love it.
The antithesis. I recognize that. I recognize that. And that's why it's such a hard goal, right? That's why I haven't done it. The seasons. I'm so worried about spoilers because I want to accomplish this goal because I'm grateful I haven't seen any spoilers yet.
Yeah, I still have not watched any of that show, and I need to, because I too love The Next Generation, so I need to go back and start at season 1 and watch that. But yeah, those are some great goals.
Season 1 is the worst, by the way.
Okay.
It is the least entertaining of the bunch. A lot of people said they didn't like season 2. I thoroughly enjoyed season 2, but do know that season 1's pretty slow and the ending's very kind of dull and anticlimactic. But man, season 3 is spectacular. I have watched 2 of the episodes of season 3.
Okay, good to know. Well, okay, some good side quests there. Brett, now it is time to get into our main missions. Okay, Brett, let's start off with your gaming goal. Tell me what your gaming goal is for June.
Well, I'm going to keep it simple again because I have been doing fairly well on gaming. I did finish. Did I talk about finishing Hogwarts Legacy? I don't even know if I talked about
I don't
that.
think you've talked about it. No.
No, so I finished Hogwarts Legacy back in May. That was not a gaming goal, but it just happened. And the reason it happened is because I moved my PlayStation 5 into the basement so my daughter would have more room for the PSVR 2. And I don't like gaming in the basement. And I was playing Assassin's Creed 3 on the PlayStation and I needed something else to play. And I had remembered, of course, I'd started Hogwarts way back in January, whatever. Picked it back up and just got right back into it. Was thoroughly enjoying it. And I finished off the game. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And so now I've got Assassin's Creed that I haven't finished. And I might finish it in the basement. I might bring up the PlayStation back up to my game room. But either way, simple goal. Just want to polish off Assassin's Creed 3. And that will leave, Josh, for me, only one Assassin's Creed game that I haven't played out of all the mainline games. That'd be Assassin's Creed Rogue. And if our listeners remember, we have yearly goals where we get really big points in December for accomplishing them. And one of my yearly goals was to play all of the Assassin's Creed games I hadn't played. And at the time, it was 6. Well, if I beat Assassin's Creed, I've taken 5 of those off my yearly goal.
Yeah, you've been crushing it. And I hope you do beat it just because I want to chat with you about it and see once you finish the game, I want to see what your overall thoughts were on it. Because I know it's kind of a divisive Assassin's Creed game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I know there are others that it didn't live up to their expectations as far as Assassin's Creed games go. So yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
for you.
I'm 6 memory sequences into it, and there's 12 memory sequences. And I did not like the first 2 or so memory sequences at all until I realized what they were doing. Once I realized what they were doing, it made sense, and I am totally cool with it now. And looking back on it, I like it. And I don't know how it was never spoiled for me, but there's kind of a big spoiler in the first couple memory sequences. So actually, I'm liking it so far, Josh. That's a little preview of
Okay.
coming attractions, but I would like to discuss it in more detail later. So, what is your gaming goal?
Okay, so I mentioned that I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I've played quite a bit of it, but I'm only a third of the way through it. I didn't want to make a goal related to it, and I also didn't want a goal that was going to pull me away from it. The reason I didn't want to make a goal related to it is because I don't want to rush. So, as far as actually gaming, I'm just going to keep playing Red Dead Redemption 2, but I needed a gaming goal. And one of the things that you know is that I really like to tinker. I like to, do some mods. I like to just find ways to have fun with video games that isn't just necessarily playing them. And so I had a goal that I made when we recorded this the first time that then I asked you before we recorded this one, like, hey, can I adjust? Because something happened in the time in between. When we recorded on Friday night, I had made a goal, which I'm going to save because I might do it next month or maybe in a future month. But then I went out to yard sales on Saturday and I had a good day at yard sales. I came home. I wasn't out too long. I came home, made the kids breakfast. And while I was making them breakfast, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to check the ads real quick and see if there's anything out there that makes me want to run out the door. And sure enough, someone in my town had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade 1-Up right front dead center in their ad. And so I messaged them. I was like, how much is this? And they're like, $30. And I was like, let me Venmo you now. Right. So I got super excited because I was like, that is dirt cheap.
You
And the
leave
guy's
off
like,
a 0 or something, right?
yeah, seriously. And the guy's like, well, it has some problems. And I was like, oh, crap. So I decided, you know what? He's just in my town. I'm just going to drive over and I'm going to see what it is. So I drove over to his house, still there. And he said, hey, this hasn't worked since we moved into this house a couple of years ago. So, okay, I'm not really excited about that. But then he's like, yeah, it's missing. It's the power cord has a breakaway cable. It's missing the breakaway part of it. So I'm thinking like, well, yeah, of course it's not going to work without the power cable. So I bought it and my NBA Jam one, which I don't know if you can see here in the shot, I plugged in the power cable to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, which I think is out of the shot, but it's just right next to it right now. And it didn't work. So I'm like, bummer. So I pulled the back off, started looking, make sure that there wasn't a loose connection or anything. And I spent a couple hours yesterday just trying to get it to work. Could not get it to work. I took out the PCB, which is basically the motherboard, took it out of the Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet, put it in the NBA Jam one, thinking like if it fires up on NBA Jam, then I know that the motherboard is good and the screen is bad. Well, it didn't fire up. So then I took the motherboard from NBA Jam and I put that in Ninja Turtles, thinking, well, if this fires up, then it means the screen is okay in Ninja Turtles. It didn't fire up. So
Dang
at
it.
that point, I was like, nothing's working. I think I'm just going to sell this for parts. Well, late last night, like literally almost midnight last night, I started searching the internet to see how much it would cost me to get a new PCB and a new monitor. Well, the PCB wasn't cheap. And then the monitors, all I could find were like a Dell monitor that I'd basically have to tear it all down and put it all in. But then I did find a listing that had the monitor and the PCB. So my gaming goal for this month is to get this Ninja Turtles cabinet up and running. I bought the parts for it last night, and it has a couple other things missing too. The joystick toppers are gone. Like I said, I need that second half of the cord. So since I like to tinker and since I don't want to be taken away from Red Dead 2, my goal is simply just to get that thing up and going. If it is up and going, we might keep it, we might sell it. I just don't know. But at the end of the day, the amount, I'm not going to disclose how much I spent on these parts, but the amount that I spent on it, if I can get it up and running, I could still sell it and make a profit. If that's the avenue that I want to go. But I'm kind of leaning towards keeping it because when I listed it for parts, it kind of hurt my soul a little bit. And I ended up taking the listing down. And so I was
Nice.
just like, I think I would kind of want to keep this. So gaming goal is to tinker with that thing. And right now it's just a shell, but I want to get that thing, pun intended, I want to get that thing up and running.
That is such a cool goal, so unique. I mean, it's such a unique take on gaming, and it scratches that tinkering itch, but it's might be something that results in playing a really fun game that you love. Um, and I just think that's such a cool and second chances is kind of the theme of today, right? We got a second chance with recording. I'm so happy you took the listing down and you're giving the cabinet a second chance.
Yeah.
Boom,
Well,
that's
and
what it's all about.
my kids love NBA Jam. I don't know how excited my wife will be to have potentially a second arcade down here in the basement, especially since I've been trying to like clear things out a little bit in here. I'm like, hey, got another arcade. But the kids, I think, were when they saw it, they're like, oh, Dad, are we keeping it? So I was like, oh, we'll see. But yeah, that's just my gaming goal. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've owned 3 one-up arcade cabinets. I don't own any of them anymore. And what I've noticed about them is they're super fun, especially if they're nostalgic to play for a little while. But then for me, they tend to sit a little, so I ended up selling them. So even if you kept it for a while and sold it, you could still make some money off it, or at least break even and have some fun playing it. And I actually had the Turtles cabinet; was the first one I bought. It was a lot of fun just to play through it a couple times, and then I didn't play it much more after that. So I sold it and broke even.
Yeah, my younger two boys loved playing. I can't remember the name, but the new Turtles game that came out on Switch. We played that over the course of a couple nights, and they just absolutely loved it. So I think the idea of playing Ninja Turtles on the arcade um, is something that they would just love. And I have a lot of fond memories of going to a pizza parlor back in Illinois, growing up as a kid, and playing Ninja Turtles. So yeah, I think we'll have fun with it.
Yeah, yeah. That game was, I think, Shredder's Revenge, right?
Yes, Shredder's Revenge. Yes, thank you.
I have not played that yet, but I have it.
Ah, so good. It's so good, and it's one that you can knock out in like 2 to 3 hours. But play it with your kids. It is really fun to play co-op. So, okay,
Excellent.
Brett,
Okay.
what
All
is
right.
your fitness goal?
All right. Short and sweet. I mentioned that over the course of this podcast, I have been tracking how many days I exercise each month. That's not always been my goal, but it's just been a piece of information I've tracked for me. One month it was a goal. It was a goal to try and get 20. Didn't make it. So historically, I've exercised 16, 19, 19, 13, 19. So those are the months, and those are the number of times I've exercised. 3 of the 5 months, I've hit 19 days of exercise. And I'm thinking, I got to get over that hurdle. Sometimes there's something you're shooting for, whether it's a weight or whether it's some calories, and you get so close, but you never quite get over that hump, and you're feeling good. Those are good numbers, but there's something about just getting over that final hurdle. And for me, with exercise, it's 20. And I don't think I'll ever consistently exercise 20 days a month, but I would love to see that number. And there's something about numbers too. I think it's this OCD thing I have that kind of even round numbers, are very satisfying. So I'm going to try and exercise 20 times this month and get over that hurdle.
Nice. Yeah. And I can totally relate to that feeling of like checking off a box. Yeah, that accomplishment. So I'm rooting for you there to hit that 20 number. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, especially when you've come close so many times. It's like the pen's on the box and then you don't quite check it. You're like, "Oh, but I was just about there."
Yeah. Okay. So my fitness goal is to get 8,000 steps or more on 80% of my days. And so I told you that this last month I have been taking a lot of walks with the dog, and I've really enjoyed that. And, I don't know if I'm going to be doing much running or not anytime soon. I mean, I might, but I figured since I wasn't sure exactly how my exercise was going to look, I'm just going to focus on my step count this month to make sure that I'm moving, and getting those steps. And like we were talking about checking off boxes on, I know you're an iPhone guy, and on iPhone you have those rings that you want to close. I'm an Android guy, and on my Samsung we don't have rings, but they have these hearts that are kind of the same concept where you close the hearts. And for mine, it's just set at 6,000 steps, which really isn't hard. And honestly, 8,000 isn't that hard either. Um, but I just want to have that motivation to every day think, I need to make sure that I'm getting steps in. So 8,000 steps or more on 80% of the days. That's my goal. I did give myself a bonus goal, which isn't for points, but my bonus goal is to get my weight down to 243 pounds. And that's a specific number. And because that is the number of what I was pre vacation. So I told you that I had gained 10 pounds over in Europe. Um, but the goal is to, by the end of this month, by the end of June, to be back where I was. And then that's definitely not an end goal for me by any stretch, but I want to get back to that point, and then I'll work on getting past that the next month. But I'll feel really accomplished if I can get back down to 243. I'm like I said before, I'm 6'4". Definitely have weight to lose, but 243 for my frame and for where I'm at right now would be great. So yes, 243. That's a little bonus goal that I'm going for.
Well, I'm rooting for you on the regular goal and the bonus goal. And my wife loves the way you write your goals because it gives you a little grace. You're trying to achieve your main part of the goal 80% of the days, not 100% of the days. And my next goal, when we talk about our eating goal, and my wife thinks I should write it that way. My goal is no soda all month. Now, what my wife really wants me to do is to say no soda 80% of the days in the month. And that's maybe one of the reasons why you're kicking my butt at the Fit Dad Game Dad skill tree contest, is because I've been setting some of these goals that are all or nothing, which is my wife has a very fair point, which is not a great way to set a goal. And so I've waffled a little bit on this, on whether I should do the 80% or not. And I promised her that at least in July, I'd be a little easier on myself and maybe write a goal like you, because she thinks you're very smart about how you write them. And that will probably help me in the long run. But I'm going to stick with no soda this month because it's just a good month. June, if I'm ever going to make a goal this hard, it's going to be this month. There's no way I could achieve this during the school year. So I'm going to go for it. What the heck? YOLO. You only live once. 100% of the days, no soda. Heck, I've made it 3.5 days so far. What's, 20, 26 more, 25 and a half more.
Well, and I'll say this. I understand why you're doing the no soda, because it's kind of one of those things that it kind of is an all or nothing thing, right? Like if you're still having it occasionally, you're not going to really kick that habit. However, if you do falter, and I don't think you will, I think you'll knock it out of the park. If you do falter, when we have our daily texts, and if you said like, hey, like not doing well on this, I'm not going to let you off the hook, because the only thing that I don't like about the all or nothing is that if you mess up at all, it kind of feels like, well, screwed it up. Might as well throw it out the trash. So if you do falter, I will give you a new goal. So hopefully we won't even have to mention that. But if you do falter, then I will come back to you and say, okay, I have a new eating goal for you, and give you a chance to still earn some points. So I will offer you a little bit of grace there if things don't work out. But I think you're going to knock it out of the park.
Oh, I appreciate that all around. That your faith in me, and two, your willingness to give me another goal if I falter. And I'm, like I said, like you said, really hoping I don't have to do that. I'm gonna, and hopefully those daily texts really help. What didn't help was a second ago you were pouring a soda in the middle of our podcast.
I mean, that's your goal, not my goal.
I heard the click of the can and I saw you pouring, and I was like, I'm glad we're not in the same room, so I don't have to smell that. But I think thanks for your support, Josh.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do need to be better about. But we've talked about baby steps. It's
yeah.
I'll
get goal there. Right now.
It's not my goal right now.
You've inspired me to set this goal because you have kicked the habit of soda many times in the past, and have gone sometimes months without soda. So I've never been able to do that. So maybe you can help me when those temptations come.
And I'm not a coffee or tea drinker. So if I'm feeling fatigued and if I feel like I need caffeine, it's the route that I go. I know it's not great, and I know I need to get rid of it. But yeah, for that little bit of energy when I'm feeling worn down, it's kind of where I do go. Okay, so my eating goal, Brett, really simple. It's what I've used before. It's not anything that's going to reinvent the wheel, but it's just to log daily and to stay under my calories 80% of the time. That's been working for me. And so, yeah, I'm not doing anything special. I know having a podcast, you almost feel like you need to do something creative each month and change it up. But the way that our podcast is structured is we're just really trying to improve ourselves. And if it's working and if it works for us, then we'll continue on with it. And to our listeners, I'd say, find something that works for you. You don't have to change up your goals every single month. Maybe you adjust them to make them something that you can accomplish and something that is going to help you out. But yeah, I'm just going to stick with what's working and make that my goal for the month.
Great reminder. Solid advice. Stick with what's working, and something that works when you finally find it is such a blessing, because there are so many things that work for some people but don't work for you. And there's just a lot of trial and error with your body. Each body's so unique. And we've talked over and over in this podcast about what we're trying to do is not, like be some experts in fitness, but just to be happy, healthy, and have energy in our bodies. So if that's what's working for you and you're feeling happy, you're feeling healthy, then kudos for you for sticking with it. And I wish you the best of luck in June, and I'll be talking to you every day. So fun times ahead.
Definitely. Well, Brett, in life, there are Glass Joes, King Hippos, and minigame Brett Boddens. You don't have to be them. Set your goals, get going, and come along. Come along with us. People can read into that however they want. Come along with us as we strive to be both fit dads and game dads. Until next time, we'll see you later.